Good morning, students. Good morning. Shall we start the class? Right? So, yesterday, we ended up with the important vaccines, right? So, I gave you one vaccine chart. So, in that, we discussed the four important vaccines. One is the Salk and Sabin vaccine that is given for polio, and second one is BCG, which is given for tuberculosis, and third one is DPT, that is for diphtheria, pertussis, and tetanus, and third one is MMR vaccine, which is given for measles, mumps, and rubella, right? So I just want to tell you one more important thing about this vaccines. So let us see, please put the topic vaccination. How vaccines are prepared and what are the three different types of vaccines that are so far available. Okay, so fine, you know who is the father of vaccination? Edward Jenner, who first developed the vaccine against smallpox, right? So he was called as the father of vaccination. And regarding this vaccination part, so you should know how vaccines are prepared and what is vaccination process. Okay, so in vaccination, what they will do, they will inject or inoculate. Okay, so vaccination is the process called as injection or inoculation. Inoculation means inserting something is called as inoculation. Okay, so injection or inoculation of weak or attenuated pathogen. So what do you mean by attenuated pathogens? Any idea about attenuated pathogen? Attenuation means that we are going to partially kill the pathogens. Partially killing. That process is called as attenuation. Okay. So the weak or attenuated pathogen. See, for example, if you are going to give a vaccine for polio, so first how they will prepare this polio vaccine, right? So the disease causing organism for polio is polio virus, which we call it as enterovirus. So this enterovirus will be weakened. Okay, it will the potent polio virus, no, it will be allowed to make it as a weak pathogen, or it will be allowed for attenuation, which we call it as partial killing. So this weak or attenuated antigens, which we call it as pathogens. Okay, so this antigens, or it can be a toxin, it can be a toxin, or it can be a protein. Okay, so the pathogen or the toxin or the protein which is going to be responsible for causing the disease, so those things will be either weakened or attenuated. Weakened in the sense it will be now it will be very less potent, and it will not have the ability to cause the disease. Still it will be live. Okay, it will be live, it will be partially killed, or it will be weakened. So those antigens, toxin or protein which has been weakened or attenuated, it will be allowed to enter into the body. The injection or the inoculation of weak or attenuated pathogens or toxins or proteins that are allowed to enter into the body is called as vaccination process. Okay, so this introduction of antigens, what they will do, once if you introduce the weak pathogens or weak antigens or attenuated pathogens into the body, that will stimulates the, it will, because it is a pathogen, right? Once a pathogen enters into the body, your immune system will start functioning against them. So it will start the production of antibodies. So the pathogen what we allowed to enter into the body, it will stimulate the production of antibodies, and this stimulation of production of antibodies for the first time is called as the primary response. Okay, so you know the primary response will be very weak, and it is of low intensity because your immune system is not aware of the pathogen. But now the pathogen what has been allowed to enter, it is a weak pathogen. So your the antibodies which are produced in your primary response are strong enough to fight against them. And later what happens when the original pathogen enters into the body? Okay, now when the original pathogen, antigen or toxin enters into your body, this time the immune system will be so alert, because your memory cells, right, your memory cells would have strongly memorized about the pathogen when it first time enters into the body in the form of vaccine. So now your memory cells will be strong enough to alert your immune system, and this time your memory cells will produce the secondary response, which is said to be a high intensified response. Okay, so this secondary response will be very strong, and large amount of bulk amount of antibodies will be produced against the antigen, and the secondary response will completely protect the body against the, it will protect the body, it protects the body against the antigen or the disease causing organism. Okay, or the disease causing organism. Okay, so this is the principle behind your vaccination. So please keep it in your mind, your vaccination principle mainly depends on the concept of this memory cells. Only because of the presence of memory cells, vaccines are able to function in our body and they are able to protect our body against the antigen. So usually what happens when an antigen enters into the body for the first time, your immune response will be functioning, and that time it will be very weak. When the second time when the antigen enters into the body, your immune response now it will be very strong. Why? Because your memory cells would have memorized about the antigen, and when the second or third time it enters into the body, the secondary response which is produced, right? So this secondary response will be of high intensified response, and so antibody production will be like much higher, and it protects the body from the disease. The same principle is applied in your vaccine principle. Okay, so in vaccination what we are going to do, we are going to inject the weak pathogen. Already the pathogens will be isolated and it will be allowed to be weakened. How you can weak the pathogen? By putting in an alkaline chemical or heating it in a mild temperature. By some way, by physical or chemical like methods, you will weaken the pathogen, and the weakened pathogen will be allowed to enter into the body, which will produce the primary response. Okay, and that is why children will get fever or something when vaccines are given to them. Okay, and originally when the polio virus or any other vaccines whatever given, right, when the original pathogen enters into the body, this time your memory cells will be so alert, because already when you gave this weakened that is antigens, your immune response would have strongly made the memory cells to memorize about the pathogen. So when the original pathogenic organism enters into the body, the secondary immune response will be highly intensified response, and it will protect the body against the pathogen. Okay, so now let me tell you what are the three types of vaccines so far we have crossed. Okay, so we have crossed three different types of vaccines from the discovery till today's date. So what are the three different types of vaccines? The first vaccine is the first generation vaccine. The first generation vaccine, and then the second generation vaccine, and then the third generation vaccine. So three generation vaccines have been identified so far. The first generation vaccines are developed. First generation vaccines are the one which were initially developed, okay, discovered vaccines. So these vaccines are developed by introducing the attenuated pathogen. By introducing attenuated pathogen into the body, we developed these vaccines. Okay, attenuated antigens or toxins or proteins. So these vaccines, first generation vaccines, are developed by introducing the attenuated antigen or protein or toxins. And most of the vaccines available till today's date belongs to this first generation vaccines. Let me give you some examples for this first generation vaccines. The DPT vaccine is a first generation vaccine. And then BCG vaccine is also first generation vaccine. Then the smallpox vaccine is also a first generation vaccine. All these vaccines belongs to first generation, where we develop these vaccines by introducing the attenuated antigen directly into the body. Now, what is advanced in the second generation vaccines? In the second generation vaccines, the vaccines are developed by some advanced technology. What is that advanced technology? Is genetic engineering. Biotechnology came into existence. Then we started developing vaccines in the second generation by genetic engineering method. How we started developing vaccines with the genetic engineering method, in the sense with the help of transgenic organisms. You know what is transgenic organisms? Whatever new organisms we are developing using biotechnology, they are called as transgenic organisms. Okay, you will study in biotechnology unit about this in detail. So the transgenic organisms, with the help of these transgenic organisms, by applying the genetic engineering technique, the vaccines that are developed comes under this genetic second generation vaccines. Let me give you some examples for second generation vaccines. The vaccine that has been developed for hepatitis B virus, and then herpes virus, all these vaccines developed against these disease or disease causing organisms belong to this second generation vaccines. Okay, yeah, in the second generation vaccines, what they will do, they will partially kill the antigen and they will inject into the what is that, microorganisms, and from the microorganisms the vaccines will be developed. Okay, right. Now coming to the third generation vaccines. Third generation vaccines are too highly advanced. What they are in the sense, they are all synthetic vaccines. Synthetic in the sense, these vaccines are developed in the laboratory. Okay, so these vaccines are developed in the laboratory by using microorganisms. So what is the advancement in the first generation, second generation and third generation? In the sense, the side effects will be very, very less. Okay, so in the first generation vaccines, the people, those who are getting these vaccines, right, they will get fever, they will have fever for the next 3 days. And second generation vaccines, they will have fever only for only 1 day. And third generation vaccines, they will not get any side effect will be very less in the third generation. Now the newly synthesized vaccines, now we are modern vaccines we are producing, right? The newly synthesized vaccines against many diseases, all these vaccines are yet to they are under research. This third generation vaccines are under research and they will come to the market very soon. So for the synthetic vaccines, we are developing against many things. Again, common cold, we are doing this synthetic vaccine is under research. Okay, then for cancer also we are doing some synthetic vaccines. For many diseases, like for uncurable diseases, we are preparing this synthetic vaccines in the third generation. Okay, chickenpox vaccines comes under first generation, ma. Chickenpox vaccines comes under first generation. Okay, so this is regarding to the different types of vaccines. And students, please, I want to tell you one thing. See, whenever a pathogenic organism enters into your body, or whenever vaccines are given, even when vaccine in the sense, again, we are allowing the pathogen to enter into the body, but the pathogen is not a strong pathogen, it is a weak pathogen. Okay, we are isolating the pathogen and then we are making them to be very weak, and then we are allowing them to enter into the body, right? So in all these cases, whenever you get disease or any pathogen enter into the body, okay, any pathogens when they enter into the body in diseased condition, in all these cases, the first symptom, the common symptom that will appear in your body is what it is, in the sense we will get the fever. Okay, so fever is a common symptom for almost all the diseases. So whatever pathogen, harmful pathogen enters into the body, the first thing your body will show you some symptom that will be fever. Okay, so this fever is going to be a common symptom for almost all the diseases. So I just want to tell you how this fever is occurring in our body. So whenever any pathogen enters into the body, in your brain, a special chemical substance will be released. Your brain will it will get alert if any pathogen enters into the body, and it will start releasing a chemical substance, and that chemical substance is called as endogenous pyrogen. Okay, so this endogenous pyrogen, it is one sort of chemical substance. Okay, so it is a chemical that will be released in your body from the brain. So this pyrogen, actually this pyrogen word, right, this pyrogen, pyro means in one particular language, it means fire. Okay, fire means it will be very hot, right? During fever, your body will be very hot, your temperature will rise. So this is taken from this term. This endogenous pyrogen chemical substance will be released in your body. This is the one which is causing fever. That is causing fever in the sense, what it is doing, it is increasing your body temperature. So what is the principle behind that? If body temperature increases, then automatically the microorganism that has entered into the body will be killed, right? So because microorganisms cannot survive in high temperature. So that is the principle why your brain is releasing this chemical. So if this chemical is released, automatically your body temperature will be increased. When you are taking paracetamol tablet, right? So whenever you have fever, what you will do? You will take paracetamol. If you take paracetamol, you can notice within 2 to 3 hours, your body temperature will come down. So what is this paracetamol doing? It will stop the release of this pyrogen so that your body temperature will slowly come down and your body will become chill. So because when this pyrogen is released, your body temperature will be raised and you will get a fever, right? This fever will come down once you are taking paracetamol, because paracetamol is functioning. It is playing the role of reducing the release of this pyrogen substance. This is one important neat question. Please note down this. Endogenous pyrogen is the chemical which is responsible for increasing the body temperature and causing fever whenever a new pathogen enters into the body. Okay. Yeah, so you should not take continuously paracetamol. Doctors will advise you only 3 to 4 hours once you have to take the paracetamol, because if you take continuously paracetamol, what it will do, it will stop the secretion of pyrogen and your body will become, the microorganisms will become resistant. Okay, when your microorganisms become resistant, even when you take paracetamol under high fever condition, it will not act. Okay, yeah. Fine, students. So please note down all these information in the first 3 slides. Then we can go to the, I told you yesterday, I told you 2 important charts I will give you, right? The first chart is what I gave you yesterday. That is your important vaccine chart. The second chart I will give you now. You just note down all the information in the given slides. This is the first one. The first slide. So this is the second slide. And this is the third slide. You just note down this one, endogenous pyrogen. That is enough. Okay. All other things are just for your understanding. You just note down endogenous pyrogen. That is a chemical released in your brain responsible for increasing the body temperature, and ultimately it will cause us fever whenever pathogens enter into the body or under any diseased condition. Okay. Yeah. Shall I move on to the next concept, right? So the next chart, what I am going to give you is what are the important tests that will be carried out for diagnosing the diseases. So the first chart yesterday I gave you is the important vaccines, right? So important vaccines that has been second generation vaccines. Second generation vaccines are the one that has been developed by using biotechnology or genetic engineering. Now you cannot understand what is genetic engineering. Okay, while studying this biotechnology unit, you will get to know how vaccines are developed using this genetic engineering. Okay, there in the 4th unit we can see how in genetic engineering, using microorganisms, transgenic organisms, how we are developing the vaccines. In applications of biotechnology chapter, you will study about this one in detail. Okay, now you just understand second generation vaccines are developed by genetic engineering concept. That is enough for this. Okay, fine. So listen students, now the next chart what we are going to see is what are the important tests that are carried out for diagnosing the diseases. So in one side you write the test and other side you write down the disease or the disorder for which disease you are going to carry out the particular test. Okay, so the first very important disease is the Widal test. This is a very important one, ma. This has been asked so many times in your NEET exam. Okay, Widal test. So Widal test will be carried out for typhoid fever. So this is if a person is affected with typhoid. Okay, so for diagnosing the typhoid disease, they do in the laboratory, they will take your blood, right, and they will do this of the test that is carried out for diagnosing typhoid fever is Widal test. Okay, and the second one very important thing is ELISA. So already we have discussed about this ELISA. It is carried out, I told you, we discussed about this ELISA in AIDS, right? I told you in AIDS, the preliminary test is ELISA and the confirmatory test is Western blotting. So in ELISA, this ELISA is not only for AIDS. This ELISA can be used for AIDS, also for cancer. Also, it can be done for some STDs, sexually transmitted diseases. It can also be done for some hepatitis. ELISA will be done for so many diseases using different enzymes. Okay, because it is enzyme linked immunosorbent assay. I gave you the expansion In the AIDS concept itself, I gave you the complete expansion of ELISA. Now, the third one is Western blot. Western blotting, it is the confirmatory test for AIDS. Then fourth one is Mantoux test. Mantoux test, okay. So this Mantoux test is mainly done for tuberculosis, TB. It is done in your skin. It is a skin test. Okay, it is a skin test. Tuberculosis. And fifth one, Wassermann test. Wassermann. Okay, so this Wassermann test is carried out for syphilis. Again, this is also a sexually transmitted disease caused by the bacteria Treponema pallidum. Okay, so you just complete this. Let me continue. Still you have some more test. Have you all copied? Yeah, so let me continue the test, ma. So up to 5. Then sixth one. The sixth one is Dick test. Dick test, it is used for scarlet fever. It is one type of fungal disease. Okay. So then ELISA, I told you. Then Pap smear test. This also already I discussed in your diseases part. Can you guess for what? Pap smear test, it is done for cervical cancer. It is for diagnosing cervical cancer. And then pregnancy test. This you will study in human reproduction chapter again. The pregnancy test, it will be taken for pregnancy. Actually, what this pregnancy test it will do, it will detect a hormone called as HCG. So you will study in human reproduction. Okay, this HCG is a hormone that will be synthesized in our body only during the pregnancy period and not during other condition. Okay, so in urine, it will be present in the urine. Actually, it is not a disease, but just I want to tell you this. Okay, so pregnancy condition, to check whether the female is pregnant or not, they will do this pregnancy test. Yeah, enough. So these are the important tests that are carried out for diagnosing the disease or disorder or symptom or something. Okay. Please copy down this slide. Today we will complete the immunology part more. So the last topic we are going to discuss now, immunological disorders. With this topic, this immunology concept is getting over. So tomorrow we can start the addiction part. Okay. Addiction part is very simple. We can complete it very soon. Only this immunology will take time. Okay, have you all completed? So now please put down the next heading. The last topic in this immunology part is immune disorders. So we are going to discuss some of the immunological disorders. Immunological disorders means the disorders that will occur if there is any if there is dysfunction in your immune system. So in human physiology unit in your last year syllabus, you would have studied some digestive disorders, respiratory disorders, circulatory disorders like that, right? So similarly, immune disorders means the disorders, what are the disorders that will occur if your immune system is not properly functioning. So under this, the first one what we are going to see is autoimmune disorders. The first group of disorders under immune system is autoimmune disorders. Okay, so you know what do you mean by autoimmunity, right? So this autoimmune disorders can also be called as autoimmunity. In your human physiology, you would have studied many autoimmune disorders, starting from your respiration chapter, or in all the physiology, respiration, circulation, excretion, locomotion, in all that you would have studied one autoimmune disorder. So which we call it as autoimmunity. So these disorders, when they will develop? So these disorders develop when your immune system, are not able to differentiate, when your immune system are not able to differentiate your self and non-self antigens. Okay, differentiate the self from non-self. You know what is non-self antigens? The non-self antigens are the one which is coming from outside, that is the foreign antigens. When your immune system fails to differentiate the self from non-self, and what they will do, they will start destroying your self antigens. Usually your self antigens should not be attacked by the immune system. But in this autoimmune problem, what will happen? They will not be able to differentiate the self from non-self, and they will start destroying your own self antigens. Okay. So what happens? Antibodies will be produced. Usually antibodies will be produced against foreign pathogen, right? Foreign antigen. But in this autoimmunity cases, what will happen? Antibodies are produced against the organs of our own body, against the organs of one's own body. Okay, the self antigens which are present in our body cells of some body some organs, right? So against those self antigens which are present in some organs in our body, the antibodies will be produced against them. So these antibodies, it will start attacking our self antigens which are present on the body cells of some body organs, and as a result, what it will do, it will start destroying the organs in our body. So when our own organs are destroyed by the own antibodies produced in our immune system, that will result in autoimmune disorder. Okay, fine. In this autoimmune disorder, which cells, like when they get affected, your self antigens will be start destroying, in the sense the KT cells. KT cells we studied under types of T cells. You remember killer T cells, also called as TC cells, cytotoxic T cells. So these cells are responsible for differentiating your self and non-self antigen. When these cells do not function, properly, if these KT cells do not function properly, then the immune system will not be able to differentiate your self and non-self antigens, and as a result, what they will do, they will start producing the antibodies against your own self antigens which are present on the surface of your body cells in particular organs, and those organs will start getting affected because of this autoimmune disorders. Okay, so let me tell you some of the autoimmune disorders. I will list down some autoimmune disorders, you can note down examples for some autoimmune disorders. Rheumatoid arthritis, already you have studied about this rheumatoid arthritis in your locomotion and movement chapter. Again, I'm not discussing in detail. Okay, all these disorders you have studied. Rheumatoid arthritis you have studied. It is like it is a because of the this disorder is because your antibodies IgM, immunoglobulin IgM, right? It will work against your antigens present in your joint. Okay, and then you have chronic hepatitis. Chronic hepatitis is also one type of autoimmune disorder which this arthritis will affect your joints. Okay, yeah, chronic hepatitis will affect your liver. It will start destroying the organ liver. Okay, and then chronic anemia. Chronic anemia, it will start destroying your RBCs, own RBCs. And then Hashimoto disease. Lot of autoimmune disorders are there. I will list down some diseases. Okay, Hashimoto disease, right? It will affect your thyroid gland. This you would have studied in chemical control and coordination chapter. It will affect your thyroid gland. Okay, right? And then multiple sclerosis. Okay, so this will affect your your myelin sheath. It will causes damage in your myelin sheath, and so it affects your nerves and muscles. Nerves and muscles will get affected in your multiple sclerosis condition. And then myasthenia gravis. Myasthenia gravis, no, right? This is a muscular disorder, and this will causes degeneration of your muscles. This also you would have studied in your locomotion and movement chapter. Okay, yeah, like etc. Like you have so many autoimmune disorder students, like we cannot, yeah, for autoimmune disorders actually they will give immunosuppressive drug, okay, to suppress your immune system. Fine. These are some examples of your autoimmune disorders. Please copy all these examples. You would have studied some more examples in your human physiology. In each and every chapter under human physiology unit, you have you please recall everything. Okay. Yeah. So now first immune disorder, what we discussed is autoimmune disorders. Now the second disorder, what we are going to see is immunodeficiency disorders. Immunodeficiency disorders. Immunodeficiency means your immune system will become deficient so that it cannot produce the antibodies against the antigen and it will invite all the diseases. So such immunodeficiency disorders, they develop because by infection of some organisms, or sometimes it may develop due to genetic causes. Some genetic disorders also may result in immunodeficiency disorders, and sometimes it may occur due to malnutrition. If you are not eating proper balanced diet, it may result in immunodeficiency disorder. Let me tell you some immunodeficiency disorder for infection. Infection, you know very well. AIDS. AIDS is a acquired immunodeficiency syndrome, right? For genetic causes, I will give you one example. SCID. SCID. This is a genetic disorder. Okay. So this genetic disorder is a SCID. I will tell you the full expansion of this SCID. Severe combined immunodeficiency. Severe combined immunodeficiency. This is an example for this SCID. Okay, right? So this it is similar to AIDS. Here also the B cells and T cells, no, they will not be produced in sufficient number. In SCID, B cells and T cells not produced in sufficient number, not produced properly. Okay, so you just imagine if B cells and T cells are not there, then how will your antibody production will occur? So no antibody production will occur, and that will result in some cases. And in malnutrition because of protein or vitamin or anything, there will be some immunodeficiency disorders. Okay, so usually, you know, if you are not eating properly, then parents will tell like, then you will be immunologically weak, you will not be resistant to diseases and all. So in that cases also, this immunodeficiency disorders may occur. Okay. And now one more immunodisorders, what we are going to discuss, the last one, the third category is allergy. So the first one, what we discussed is autoimmune disorders. For that, I gave you some examples. The second one for immune disorders are immunodeficiency disorders. Now, the third one, what we are going to see is allergic disorders. Allergy is also said to be one type of immune disorder. Okay. So when allergy will be caused? So allergy is caused because of the exaggerated response of your immune system. Exaggerated. Allergy is caused because of the exaggerated response of the immune system. You know what do you mean by exaggerated response? Exaggerated means hyperactive. Okay, when your immune system is hyperactive, then it will causes allergy. Exaggerated means high response. Okay, more, that is more than the normal response. If there is high response or hyperactivity response of the immune system, then it will causes allergy. So allergy means like it may be, the allergy may occur because of so many agents. Okay, so let me tell you, some persons may be allergy to pollen. In the first chapter we studied, right? Some persons it may causes hay fever or something allergic disorder. Some people will be allergy for mites. Some people will be allergy for dust. Some may be allergy for fibers, chemicals. Some may be allergic to cosmetics. Some may be allergic for some food. You would have noticed some person will be allergic to milk. If they drink milk, immediately they will have continuous vomiting, diarrhea or something. Some may be allergic to egg. Okay, so people are there allergic to so many substances, and all these substances which may cause us allergy, they are all called as allergens. Okay, allergens means the substances which are causing allergy. The substances which causes allergy are called as allergens. Okay, right. Already we have discussed in immunoglobulin, the immunoglobulin which is responsible for causing allergy. Can you tell me which immunoglobulin is responsible for causing allergy? Under 5 immunoglobulins we discussed, I told you one immunoglobulin is highly responsible for causing allergy. Can you tell in your chat which immunoglobulin is that is responsible for causing allergic disorders? IgE, very good. Okay, so the immunoglobulin IgE epsilon. Okay, so allergies, right? The antibodies which are formed against the allergens which is responsible for causing that allergic disorder is IgE. IgE antibodies are responsible for causing allergy. If these antibodies are highly present than the normal range, I told you IgE and IgD will be present in a small amount, okay, least amount. But if they are present in high concentration, then it will show this exaggerated response in your immune system, which will result in allergy. This allergic response may vary from person to person. It will not be common for all person, right? And it will differ from organ to organ, right? So if you have any allergy in your respiratory system, you will have continuous sneezing, you will have difficulty in breathing, running nose will be there, watery eyes will be there, yes. And some persons will show the allergic response by having some rashes over the skin, okay. And in particular, I want to tell you the symptoms of allergy, whatever allergy you have, okay. The symptoms of allergy commonly includes inflammation in your body. So commonly you will have this inflammation. The inflammation will be caused in your body, and this inflammation is mainly due to the release of some special chemicals called as histamines. You would have studied in structural organization chapter, right? So histamines and serotonin. Histamines and serotonin are mainly responsible for causing this inflammation. This inflammation is a major symptom of any type of allergy, and this histamines and serotonins are secreted by the mast cells of your connective tissue. They are secreted by the mast cells of connective tissue. The mast cells of your connective tissue, they are responsible for releasing this histamines and serotonins, which will causes the inflammation, that is considered to be one of the basic symptom. And in blood it is secreted by, and sometimes in blood also you will have allergy. In blood the allergy inflammation or something is caused by basophils of blood. In tissue it is because of mast cells, and in blood it is because of basophils. Okay, you have studied, right? Eosinophils, basophils and neutrophils. The basophils are responsible for causing the allergy in your blood, and in your tissues and all, the allergy is caused because of the inflammation. The inflammation is caused because of the release of histamines and serotonins secreted by the mast cells of your connective tissue. Okay, so usually if a person is having allergy, if you take them to the hospital, immediately they will give you some drugs. If they inject those drugs, immediately the inflammation will be like inflammation will come to the normal condition. You know what are the drugs? So you know histamine is responsible for causing inflammation. Then what drug can be given? Antihistamines can be given. Okay, if you give this antihistamine drug, immediately it will suppress the inflammation. It will reduce the release of histamines and the inflammation will be reduced. And sometimes adrenaline will also be given for reduce the allergy. Adrenaline, okay. And steroids, some steroids will also be given for reducing this allergy, or all these things, no, antihistamines, adrenaline, steroids, they all will quickly it will reduce the symptoms of allergy. It will reduce the symptoms of allergy, and the symptoms will vary from one allergic to other allergy. Let me tell you what are the different things of allergy. I will tell you now, okay. Fine. So now I am going to tell you 4 different types of allergies based on the side effects. Based on the side effects that are caused because of the allergic condition, you have 4 different types in allergy. Okay. So the first type of allergy, or the one which we call it as urticaria. I told you this urticaria in IgE immunoglobulin, right? I told you you will study about this in immune disorder. So what do you mean by this urticaria? Urticaria is nothing but allergy that occurs in your skin. Allergy of your skin is called as urticaria. Okay, so mostly it will be caused because of some chemicals. Whenever allergy occurs in your skin, that is mostly because of your chemicals. Okay, and you can see inflammation in your skin because of the release of histamines and serotonins by your mast cells. Okay, so in urticaria, what are the common symptoms that will occur? Right, there will be inflammation, then there will be reddening of skin. Skin will become reddish. Okay, reddening of skin. Some rashes may appear, rashes or blisters. Okay, tadipum, right? Rashes or blisters may develop over the entire skin. These are the things that will appear in urticaria, which is called as allergy of skin. Now, the second type is asthma. Asthma is one type of allergy. It is an allergy of respiratory passage. If there is allergy in your respiratory system, then it is called as asthma. Asthma is an allergic disorder, right? So here what will happen? The symptoms will be that the breathing will become difficult. Difficulty in breathing. Difficulty in breathing. That is the major symptom in asthma. Okay. Because your bronchioles, bronchi and bronchioles will constrict. Constrict means the surface area will get reduced. So there will be difficulty in breathing. That is the major symptom in asthma condition. Okay. Now I will show you the next one. Tell you the next one. The third type of allergy is hay fever. Hay fever. This hay fever can also be called as rhinitis. Rhinitis. Okay. So this is allergy of your. This allergy will occur in your nasal lining. What do you mean by nasal lining? Nasal lining means in your nasal cavity you will have mucosal lining, right? Mucosa. So that will be majorly caused because of this hay fever. Hay fever or rhinitis, there will be allergy of nasal lining, and it develops due to, mainly it will be developed due to pollen grains, pollens, okay, or some volatile chemicals. Sometimes you would have met some persons who are allergic to petrol, diesel and all. If they inhale the smell of petrol or diesel, they will get allergic. Okay, so volatile means, you know, right, the one which can easily evaporate. Okay, so what type of symptoms will appear in this hay fever? The large amount of mucus will be secreted. Excess mucus secretion will be there if they are allergic to these things. Large amount of mucus secretion, and this will causes irritation in the nose. There will be severe irritation in the nose region, and continuous sneezing will be there. Running nose will be there, that is watery fluid will be coming out from the nose. Okay, so all these are some of the symptoms in the hay fever or rhinitis condition. Here they won't have inflammation, instead they will have these symptoms. And the last type of allergy is anaphylaxis. Anaphylaxis, this is the last type of allergy condition. This is allergy that occurs in your blood. Okay, allergy of blood. This is very, very severe. This will be mainly due to, allergy in blood will be mostly due to injection. Sometimes some person will be allergic to penicillin injection. If penicillin is injected to them, immediately they will get allergy. Okay, or some other antibiotic drugs or any other drugs. Penicillin or any other drugs may be allergic to them. And in this case, again, histamine will be released by rupturing. Here I told you, right? This is because in blood you will have this basophils. Basophils will release the histamines. Okay, if at all in tissue, it will be released by histamines. In blood, it will be released because of basophils, which is said to be the mast cells of the blood. And here, sometimes this anaphylaxis may lead to anaphylactic shock. It may lead to anaphylactic shock. This anaphylactic shock, what they will do, it may result in fatal condition. That is, it may result in death. Okay, this allergy of blood anaphylaxis, if it results in anaphylactic shock, what happens in this anaphylactic shock? The capillaries will dilate. In anaphylactic shock, the blood capillaries dilate. Once if blood capillaries dilate, what will happen? The blood pressure, BP, will drop down drastically. BP will drop down drastically, and that may result in fatal condition, which we call it as death. That's all. So these are the 4 different allergic disorders. Okay. Now students, again, I will show you all the slides from the beginning. You just note down this 11th one, then I will show you from the first slide. So with this topic, your immunology concept is over. You just copy this one. No, lowering immunity will not result in allergies, ma. Immunity lower will not result in allergy. Okay. Okay, shall I show you the slides from the beginning? So please note down. If you have missed any points or any slides, you can note down right now. So this is the first slide of today's class. Yeah. Second one. Third one. Have you all started preparing for your NEET exam? Have you all started studying this human health and disease chapter? How many of you didn't start? Today is Thursday. You have only 2 more days. Okay. So you have a lot to read. So please don't waste your time. Start reading. Diseases part, fully memorizing. You have to study all the diseases and their responsible organisms. Please read it properly. I have already set the paper. Paper was very, very easy, very simple questions. You have to study properly. Fine. So I didn't ask you any difficult questions and all statement questions, because next week I will give you like difficult questions. This week, like as you have only very short time and you want to read a lot, I have given you all easy questions. Fourth slide. Fifth one. Sixth one. First 3 slides are what you did when I was showing. Wait, let me complete. After that, I will show you the first 3 slides. Seventh one. Ma, these autoimmune disorders are very important. Okay, please note down properly. And you have to read all the autoimmune disorders that were in your human physiology unit. Eighth one. Ninth one. 10th one. 11th. 4th. Yeah, I will show you the first 4 slides. Some students are asking me to show the first 4 slides. Wait, please wait. Yeah, see, wait, ma. So this is the first slide. Those who want to note down the first three slides, please note down right now. So one student have asked me like TT vaccine is given generally given for injury, but why it is given during pregnancy? Yeah. See, during pregnancy period, problem is like generally the mother will be sharing her immunity with the fetus because the fetus is not having any special type of immunity. Okay, through placenta, the mother will be sharing the IgG antibodies to the fetus, and generally the immune system will be when a person is sharing her immunity to another when it is getting distributed, automatically the immunity will become low, right? So pregnancy, during the pregnancy period, the mother will be she will be of low immunity, and that's why she will be advised to take very nutritious food, and then iron and folic acid tablets, everything, right? So because of this, if she should not get frequently infected with some common microorganisms that are present in air. So that's why the TT vaccine will be given. Okay, so it is TT vaccine will be given for the 3 trimesters. In the first trimester one, second trimester one, and third trimester one. Okay, this is to avoid the infection that is entering into the mother, and also from mother it should not enter to the fetus. That's why to avoid that infection, they are giving the TT vaccine. Second one, third one, and the fourth. So got it? Now students, have you all copied all the slides? I think any slide need to be shown again? Fine. So we have 5 more minutes. Let me give you a small introduction for this drug addiction part. Okay. So I'll just give you the introduction, and tomorrow we can start in detail. So fine, listen. Next lesson, I didn't plan. I will plan and tell you. Okay. Fine. So listen. So now the next one, the third part in this chapter, what we are going to see, this addiction part. Addiction to alcohol, addiction to tobacco, and addiction to drugs. We are going to see all these 3 things. Okay, fine. So first of all, you should know what you mean by addiction, right? Nowadays, people are addicted to mobile. People are addicted to games, PUBG. People are addicted to TV, right? Even some are addicted to food. Like addicted in the sense, don't think only if we are addicted to some bad habits, it is addicted. So whatever thing, if you feel generally we will feel like, so every day you are talking to your friend, even if one day you are not talking, you feel like something is missing in your life. Okay, you won't eat properly, you won't sleep properly, and you will feel like some disturbance in your mind, right? So thing which is like whatever, it can be a living or a non-living, or it can be a food, or it can be alcohol, anything, to anything, any person or anything, any living or non-living things, we like, if you feel like you are not if you are not having enough interaction with that particular substance or particular person, then you feel something bad in your mind. Okay, your mindset will be totally affected. So generally this addiction is related to your mental, okay, mental illness. Sometimes the bad habits may affect your physical illness also, but first thing, this addiction will be related to your mental. It is the mental dependence, psychological dependence on something is called as addicted. Okay, so how can you call this addiction? It is a physical or mental, but mostly it is related to mental. Okay, so it is physical or mental. Mental can also be called as psychological. Psychological dependence on something. Okay, psychological dependence. Dependence means without that you cannot do your regular work. Okay, your body will be totally what is that, your body will become slave to that particular thing. It may be anything, as I told you, it may be a person, or it may be TV, it may be mobile, it may be food, it may be sleep, or it may be tobacco, alcohol, drugs, whatever. Okay, so dependent on, don't write drugs, so you write dependent on something. Okay, because addiction is not only for drugs. Fine. So the physical dependence or mental or psychological dependence on something is called as addiction. And here in this chapter, we are going to relate the addiction to 3 important things. Okay, and whatever this addiction, you are addicted to anything, so that is because of because you are habituated for that. So the main reason for addiction is habituated. Once if you stop that doing as a regular thing, automatically that addiction will go from your mind and go from your body. Okay, so mainly it is because of habituated, and in most of the cases, as you are habituated to this, the withdrawal is very difficult for addiction. Withdrawal means you have to stop doing that. Withdrawal is, that's why like parents used to say, like generally people used to say you should not get addicted to anything. Okay, or in everything you should have a limit, even in relationship, even when you are doing something, whatever do, you have some hobbies, everything is having a time limit, and what is that distant limit, everything is there. If you are not maintaining that limit, then automatically you will become more habituated to it. When you are become more habituated to it, you will become addicted to it, and when you are getting more addicted to it, then withdrawal will be very difficult. Withdrawal means coming out from that. Okay, so if you want to come out from something, so if you are feeling difficult to come out from something, then it is indirectly meant like you are addicted to that. Okay, so every day morning after waking up from your bed, you want to have a bed coffee. One day if you are not having that, then you feel like your body is feeling so lazy, you are having headache, something. Then if you are not able to withdraw from a particular thing, you are feeling difficult to withdraw from a particular thing, then it means you are addicted to that. Okay, so under this addiction, we are going to see three different addiction in this chapter. The first one, what I am going to discuss, is tobacco addiction. The second one is what I am going to say discuss is alcohol addiction, and third one is drug addiction, drugs. Okay, so these are the three different things we are going to discuss in the addiction part, and tomorrow we can start. Tomorrow it is possible to complete all the three. Okay, I will finish it off this addiction and we'll complete the chapter tomorrow. So it is very simple. Addiction part is very easy. Okay, so tomorrow we shall complete this, and Monday we shall start a new chapter. I didn't decide what is the next chapter I'm going to start. So tomorrow I will tell you what is the chapter I'm going to start on Monday. So students, please start preparing for your exams. Okay. Hope you have copied all the slides. I'll give stop share. Okay. And we can see tomorrow. Thank you so much. அடுத்த கிளாஸ் இருக்குமா? கிளாஸ் இல்லையா உங்களுக்கு இப்போ? சரி, உனக்கு கிளாஸ் முடிஞ்சுதா? எனக்கு ஃப்ரிட்ஜில் இருந்து இது மட்டும் எடுத்துட்டு வரியா? கடலை மிட்டாய் மட்டும். நான் அப்புறம் காஃபி குடிச்சுக்கிறேன். ஒரு 2 சாப்பிட்டு